Hi, I'm Sharon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's been a bumpy road back after all of the lockdowns, and a return to choir for me has been really quite difficult for the whole choir actually. And it's really brought to mind the problems that perhaps we're all facing actually. And as we've gone back to choir, of course, after 2 years nearly, our singing's a little rusty to be sure. The choir is a very different choir to the one it used to be. I reckon we're nearly half the choir we were 2 or 3 years ago. Definitely a significantly less than half than we were 10 years ago, for example. But as a friend used to say, there's nothing so constant in life as change. Change happens. And this is the choir of today. This is our choir now. And I'm really grateful to the committees for steering us through this tricky time. But as our chairman put it, he said, we need a renaissance, we need a rebirth. And it's actually very exciting. It's a really exciting time for us to see where the next chapter will be for the choir. It's our 80th anniversary as a choir as well. And it's like, well, what does the future hold? What will the new Ceramic City Choir be, really? However, his comment, we need a new renaissance, really got me thinking. And I think that is true, actually, for all of us, either en masse, corporately, or even as individuals. And I guess we can't be responsible for everybody en masse, but we can be responsible for ourselves. We've always got to draw the circle around ourselves, haven't we? And we need to rise from the ashes of inertia that we've been kind of subjected to, but we need to kind of be reborn, as it were, into this new, whatever new now is, really. And it's been very, very tricky. It's been a problematic return to music for us, actually. The rehearsal venue had to change because after being locked down for so long, the rehearsal venue isn't opening. We've tried to find a new one, and it was only through trial and error that we realised that the acoustics just don't work for a big choir. It was like singing into a mattress. You just couldn't hear anything. And so it was less than helpful. We'll have to manage for the time being, but we're looking for another venue perhaps. And also because the choir is so different, the work that we were planning on doing just isn't appropriate. Perhaps our skills are too rusty to take on a big work. The choir is maybe not ready for quite such a meaty tome as Mozart's Requiem. And this is where I'm so grateful to our musical director, because he's adjusted the programme, and I've great trust in his musical integrity. So, we'll move on and we'll try new things. But it did really get me thinking about this whole rebirth, renaissance. And of course, in history, we had a renaissance in the 1500s, like the 16th century. And then hundreds of years later, in the sort of 1800s, early 1900s, we had this age of enlightenment again, where there was a rebirth in the arts, in arts and crafts, in learning, in exploration. And of course, that gave us so many new scientific discoveries. It gave us the Romantic period in music. We had all the pre-Raphaelite arts and so on. And I just think it's a really encouraging motivation to us to commit to, perhaps for ourselves, and I know for me personally, we definitely need to dig back into a love of learning, a love of music, a love of the arts, a love of discovery, really. There's so much out there to learn, and we need to kind of pluck ourselves out of the inertia that we've become accustomed to. And we need to kind of get out there and get our brains working and get involved in whatever it is. And of course, for me, it's music. So it's like dig into your music practice, dig into your music theory. There's so much to do. And make sure, for example, for me, that would mean make sure between rehearsals that I go over the music and I make sure that I know my part, and then I'm ready to sing at the next rehearsal, be actively involved and not passively involved. And I think it's really encouraging to me, and it's it's a real inspiration to think that we can commit to a new renaissance. Let's commit to learning, to digging in. It's really been a renaissance for me. It's been a kind of a rebirth of my tuition practice and endeavours to really open the whole world up to me at a time when we were kind of supposedly locking down. Actually, it's enabled me to open out, and I'm so grateful to my YouTube viewers. Thank you so much for sharing this journey with me as we follow this journey of discovery and exploration in all things musical. And it's so encouraging to me to know that there are people out there who are, I love to hear about your piano practice and what pieces you're playing, or I've really enjoyed picking up the recorder. And I struggled with music theory, but I'm really enjoying it now, and it's opened this whole new world up to me. And that's it. That's what we want. When we went back to choir, and when I went to my first choir concert as an audience member, if you remember in the vlog a few weeks ago, I was saying how the conductor, the musical director, was saying this is where it's at grassroots level. This is where it starts, and that is so true, even if it just starts in your own living room. And I would encourage you to embark upon this new wave of renaissance that I think we desperately need, and kind of we can create this underground resurgence of learning and music and the arts, and kind of shake off this inertia and brush away the cobwebs and get learning again. And I know that it's problematic at choir. We found it's really tricky. It's a troublesome journey for sure to find our feet, discover what the new us is as we get back together and get back to singing and get back to performing. But there's nothing so constant in life as change, and change isn't necessarily bad. Let's just make sure it's a change for the better. There's a whole world out there. There's a whole world of music, of art, of learning. There's books, there's music to be explored. There's so much for us. So let's kind of roll our sleeves up and get involved. Thanks for listening. Bye.